you found yourself in a situation where you need to build a shelter, and all you have is some 550 cord and a tarp. Welcome back to Mission Ready Society. I'm your host, Orrin Price, and in this video I will be showing you simple tarp structures to make with just a singular tarp and some 550 cord. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, and one last thing to mention, I have a few channel updates that I want to discuss at the end of this video, so if you want to hear those updates in your real one, stick around until the end to hear those things that I need to talk about. But now, let's get into building these shelters. Alright, so first thing we're going to do when going to build a shelter is we're going to want to create a ridge line. So to create a ridge line, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to create a bowline. Now to create a bowline, you're going to take about 8 to 9 inches of your running end here, and then you're going to create an overhand loop like so. And now you're going to take this end, the running end, bring it up through the loop. You're going to wrap it around, and then not the big loop here, but this smaller piece, you're going to stick it through there, pull on your loop here. You're going to tighten that right up, make it look nice here, just like so. And there you go. So that is the first step we're going to want to do to create our ridge line. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take that end that we created the bowline in, you're going to want to wrap it around a tree for wherever the area you have determined you want to build your shelter in. And now you're going to take this part of your 550 cord and you're just going to pull it through like so. And now you find a stick like this, you can stick it through there, bring this back up, and we can tighten this down. Bring it up just a little bit here, and just like that, you can tighten that stick right down around the tree, and that is going to hold our cordage right in place, like so. So the next step is we're going to create a knot, which is called a spike hitch or a marlin spike hitch. And now this is pretty straightforward. What you're going to do is create a underhand loop like so, and now you're going to reach through, you're going to grab this part of your 550 cord, you're going to pull tight. And the reason we want to make an underhand is so when we're pulling against the ridge line, this loop doesn't slide through. This end will, but this end is what's going to be wrapped around the tree. So, like so. And now we'll move on to doing our slip knot and finishing off our ridge line. Alright, so the next step in this process of creating our ridge line is we're going to take that spike hitch, that marlin spike hitch that we created, and we're going to take our running end, and now I have a lot of slack, which isn't necessarily ideal. And we're going to wrap our other running end around the tree, and now we're going to come down through this spike hitch once. Like I said, I got a lot of slack here. And now if we just come through it once, we can pull this and it'll tighten it, but at the moment we let go, it's going to create slack again. So what we're going to do is we're going to come through it again, just like so. And now what this allows us to do is we can pull on this just like that, tighten it up real nice. That's pretty tight. And now we can let go and it'll stay tight due to that tension. And now what we can do is we can find ourselves a nice stick on the ground. It doesn't have to be massive. This will do. And now what we can do is we can finish our slip knot here. And to do that, we're just going to take our running end. A lot of slack here and I should cut it off, but I want to try and keep this whole. And now you're just going to wrap it over the top. You're going to take this side, you're going to pull it through like so. And you're just going to tighten that up like that. Now take a stick, like that. And you're just going to put on there and tighten that up real nice, just like that. And there is our ridge line, nice and tight. And now we can set up our tarp. All right, so the first tarp shelter we're gonna build is a lean-to. Now the first step of building a lean-to tarp shelter is taking your tarp and draping it over your ridge line. Now you want to ensure that you have equal amounts on both sides of your ridge line, like so. Now that you have your tarp draped over your ridge line, you're going to come around to the back side here, and you're going to take both sides of the tarp in one. Now I already have loops on my tarp, but what you can do is you can create another bow line and loop that through, or you could create some sort of other loop. As long as you have a loop on here, it just makes your life a lot easier. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna find a stick, preferably one that has a decent diameter to it, and we're gonna stick it through those loops, and we're gonna stick it at an angle facing away from the tarp. So you're gonna wanna stick it at an angle like this. And that's because it's going to make it harder for that stick to pull out of the ground. Now we're gonna take another stick and we're gonna come here to these middle loops, and we're gonna do the exact same thing, making sure we have that angle on the stick. And now we'll find one more so we can break one off. That one's a little small. Break one off here real quick. Like so. Okay, and now we'll come around here to the other side, like this, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Now we can make some adjustments to make this tighter. Just come back over here to this side. I'm going to stick it in the ground to make this even tighter on there, like so. Then we can space this out a little bit if need be, just like that. Take the middle out here a little bit, and there you have it. That's your lean-to. So now we'll come around to the front side and take a look at it. Now, here's the front of the lean-to shelter we've just created, right here. And now, we can lay under it, just like so. Keep ourselves out of the elements. Of course, if you have a bigger tarp, you're gonna have a bigger space under here. But just like so, that's pretty easy on how to make a nice lean-to tarp shelter, like so. Now the next shelter we're gonna build is an A-frame. And you're gonna wanna start the process off by doing the exact same thing, by draping your tarp over the ridge line, ensuring that there's 50-50 on each side of the tarp. Now, where it becomes different is instead of taking both sides of the tarp onto one side, you're going to take one side of the tarp onto this side of the ridgeline, and you're going to do the other side of the tarp on the opposite side of the ridgeline. And now what we're going to do is we're going to find our sticks, and we're going to stake this side down into the ground. So here we have one stick. Make sure that this stays 50-50 though, so if you have to, you can start loose on this side, and then we can always come back around and tighten it up. Here we have the center. Where'd that other stick go? And now we have our other end here. Like so. And now we'll go around to the other side. All right, so now we're back around on the other side of the tarp, and we're gonna do the exact same thing we just did on that side, but we're gonna do it on this side. And we're gonna make sure to pull a little bit of tension while we're doing this. So again, make sure your sticks are at that angle to create tension so they don't pull out of the ground,
like so. And now, as I'm doing this, one thing I will mention that I didn't do a great job with this area or this location is, before you even decide to set up a shelter, look at your terrain. And now, at some point, hopefully not, but it probably will rain, and the last thing you want to do is be on a slope where all the water is going to run right into your shelter. So I kind of set up in kind of a bad spot because there is a little bit of a slope here, but unfortunately it's the best spot I could find with decent trees and stuff. But we're just going to find our last stick here. This should do. Never mind, that one's kind of bad. We'll take this one. Stick that in the ground. Just like so. And now we'll go back around and we'll tighten up the other side, and this thing will be done. All right, now what we're gonna do to finish this is tighten up this side. That way we have it nice and tight so the water runs off of it with ease. Now, one thing I will mention too that'll make your life a lot easier is if you have tent stakes with you. But if you don't, in a pinch, you can do what I'm doing here by just taking some sticks, taking a pointy end of the stick and shoving it into the ground. That works just fine too. And in many cases, that's what I do. Although tent stakes are nice, and I do prefer to have tent stakes, but if you're not going to be in an area for super long, or again, you don't have tent stakes, sticks work perfectly fine. So there you have it. There's our A-frame, all nice and set up. I'd say it looks pretty good, personally. I'm going to show you guys a quick look of the inside, though. Well, there you have it. Here's the inside of our A-frame that we have created. Now we can just crawl on in here, and there's plenty of space. This is a nice shelter. It provides us a lot of cover, and one of my favorite, personally. But yeah, now let's move on to the plow point. All right, before we move on to building our plow point tarp shelter, I'm first going to show you how to take down our ridge line here. And now it's pretty simple, actually. We're going to start on the left side here, where we have our slip knot. And we're just going to pull this stick to loosen it, like so. Just throw that, and we're just going to pull our 550 cord through, like so. Bring this back up, and now that's undone. And now here's the cool part. To get this knot undone, where we have cinched it down, all you're going to do is pull it towards the right side of the ridge line, like so, and boom, it's now loosened. And we can undo this, just like so. Bring it through once, bring it through twice, and now the slip knot, all you're going to do is you're going to take both sides, the left and right of your 550 cord, you're just going to pull. And now it might become a little difficult if the knot's been pulled down real tight, but you're just going to give it some muscle, like so, and there it is, gone. And now we're going to move on to the right side, which is pretty straightforward. All right, now we have the right side of our bridge line, and to undo this, it's probably going to be loose already. All you're going to do is pull on the stick here, take the stick out, pull that through, and pull it around. Then we have our bow line here. This is going to take a little bit more of fiddling, but you can just undo this by simply messing around with it a little bit and getting it undone here. Like so. And there you go. Your 550 cord is back to what it was before we set up our ridge line. And now you can wrap this back up and store it, or you can do like we're about to do and build another shelter with it. Boom. So now let's move on to our plow point shelter. All right, so to start the plow point off, we're going to do it a little differently. But with a plow point tarp shelter, all you need is one tree, essentially. And now, it is preferred that that tree has a branch that is low hanging, because that's what we're going to want to tie our 550 cord off to. But essentially, you're going to want to take your tarp and make it into a diamond shape. And we're going to find a stick here. If I can find a decent one. I just had one. All right, so we're gonna take a stick. We're gonna take that one corner of our tarp and we're going to attach it down here in the ground, like so. And we're gonna stake that corner down to start. Well, we might have to make this shelter quick, as it seems that a storm might be rolling in. It's getting a little dark out here. Luckily, I'm pretty much right next to the house. So for this part, we're going to take our 550 cord. I'm going to take our loop here on the opposite side of where we just staked our tarp down. And essentially, we're going to create a bow line, but we're going to go through the loop. So we're going to go like so. And actually, I'm going to come around to this side, just make it a little easier. And now we're going to create the overhand loop like we normally would around it. And then we'll come up through like so. And a little bit of slack there. And then we'll wrap it around and come back down through like so. And then we can cinch this up. And this is gonna give us a nice strong point attached to that tarp here, as you can see. So now we have it nice and attached to our tarp. And now we're gonna take our 550 cord and we're gonna throw it up over this tree branch. All right, so now we're gonna take our 550 cord and we're gonna loop it up here a little bit. Again, I have a lot of slack here. We're gonna take our excess in one hand and try not to get sticks tangled all in it like I'm doing. All right, now we're gonna hold the tarp here. We're just gonna take this and we're gonna toss it over this branch like so. And we're just gonna pull it up and over that. And now what we can do is we can pull our tarp up like so. So it creates a nice edge there. I realize you guys probably couldn't see that, but we're gonna want our tarp nice and tight like that. And now what I like to do is pretty simple, is I take our 550 cord and I just pull it through this loop here, or excess. It's okay if you get a little bit of slack. So, and now we can pull that tight again. And what I like to do, I like to just come back down through, make sure that's nice and tight, like so. And now what we can do, take a stick, and we can create an anchor point here again, like so. And now that is going to keep it nice and tight. And you can always adjust it. You can loosen up this stick. You can pull this tighter. Whatever you need to do to make this nice and tight here. But essentially that is the idea behind this, like so. And now to finish off our plow point, we're going to stake down the other two corners. So now we're going to move on to that. We're going to stake down this corner here of our tarp. Find the stick. Again, lots of sticks being used to stake down this tarp. Let's find one. Alright, this will work. Just like so. And now we're going to go do the same on the other side. Alright, now we're going to do the same exact thing on this side here. Take our stick, grab this to the side, end up in the bushes a little bit, stake that down, like so. Now I probably could have gotten a little bit of slack out of there, maybe if I tighten up this side a little more. Oops. Well, that's okay. But again, make sure that those two anchoring points here are nice and tight, because that's kind of what's really keeping this whole shelter down. But there you have it. There's our plow point. Now here's a nice view of what the inside of our shelter looks like. Again, you got a lot of space here. Nice area to keep yourself out of the weather. But that is essentially the plow point. There's not much else to it. And those are, you know, 3 simple basic shelters that you can make. And I got 550 cord in my face here. Whatever. But yeah, so there you go. We have our A-frame, our lean-to, and our plow point, and those are 3 simple shelters that you can create out in the field. If you find a situation where you need to create one, or you feel like creating one for fun, I suggest coming out here and doing this to, understand the process of how to make these shelters, and that way, in case you need to use one, you know how to make one. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna wrap this video up. All right, well, thank you for watching today's video. I hope that next time you're out in the woods or out in the field, maybe you're able to use one of these shelters. These are pretty straightforward and pretty simple to make, and you can set them up fairly quickly. And I would say that these are probably the top 3 that I would definitely know how to make, just because they are so simple to set up. But again, they all provide, a good amount of cover, and they all have their ups and they all have their downs. Some cover you from more sides than others, but again, they're all pretty solid. Now, before I end this video, I did promise that I was going to give a channel update, so here it is. I'm just going to come up front and straight and say that I will be reducing the amount that I upload on this channel. The channel is not going away. I love making these videos and I love making this kind of content and sharing it with you guys. I continue to learn, and I want to share that learning with you guys as much as possible. That being said, I will be reducing the amount that I upload down to once a month. So my plan is the first of every month I will upload a video, and this will be temporary. That is my hope, that this will only be temporary. And the reason for me doing this is because I want to build Mission Ready Society as a brand, and make it something more than it is now. And I have big dreams and I have big hopes for Mission Ready Society. This is a really big passion of mine, and I want to make it into something great. And uploading once a month will also allow me to create better, high quality videos, and better entertainment for you guys. So, you can have, nice quality videos that you can watch. And I am investing in this channel, and I hope that you guys invest in me. And if you made it this far into the video, I want to thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And I may not be a big channel whatsoever at all, but I hope to continue growing this channel, and I really hope that Mission Ready Society becomes something big, and something that is well known to the Prepared Individual network, or group of people out there in this world, and the tactical and kind of military and survival side of this world also. That being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Again, building shelters is pretty fun, and it's also a really valuable skill to know. So thank you for watching today's video. If you want to support this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like. I would really appreciate it. But I'll see you in the next one.